depending on geography. The first modern humans in Europe. The people who painted the cave walls at Lascaux 30,000 years ago had dark skin. Lighter skin only evolved in Europe within the last 8,000 years, after agriculture spread northward and people started getting less vitamin D from their diets. They needed lighter skin to absorb more sunlight. The genes for that lighter skin came partly from Neanderthal DNA and partly from new mutations that spread quickly through the population. In other words, white skin is a relatively recent adaptation. It is younger than the pyramids of Egypt. It is younger than written language. It evolved in response to a specific environment, and it tells us very little about the deeper genetic story of European ancestry. The same is true for almost every visible physical trait. Hair texture, eye shape, nose width, lip thickness. These traits are controlled by a handful of genes, and they vary independently of the rest of the genome. Two people who look completely different on the outside can be more closely related genetically than two people who look identical. It happens all the time. The visible differences between populations are real, but they are surface adaptations to local environments. They sit on top of a genome that is overwhelmingly shared between all humans on Earth. How shared? Around 99.9% of the human genome is identical across every population on the planet. Out of 3 billion DNA base pairs, only about 3 million vary between any two random humans. And of that 3 million, the vast majority of variation is found within populations, not between them. A randomly selected European has more genetic variation when compared to another European than to a randomly selected African. The categories of race that we use in everyday conversation do not map onto the underlying biology in any meaningful way. They are useful for sociology. They are useful for understanding history and culture and the ways that human societies have organized themselves, but they are not useful for understanding ancestry, because ancestry, real ancestry, the kind written in your DNA, does not respect those boundaries. Your great-great-great-grandfather might have been someone you would not have recognized as belonging to your tribe, your community, your race. Push back further, and the categories dissolve completely. Push back to 20,000 years ago, and your ancestors were hunter-gatherers in places you have never been, speaking languages that no longer exist, looking nothing like the populations that now occupy those regions. This brings us to one of the most